Raymond Hamilton, see, he was my brother. Clyde Barrow was a friend who lived, Daddy run a filling station about a block and a half here. And Bonnie Parker was a girl that lived about a half a mile up the road that went to school with me. And they later become outlaws, the most wanted outlaws in the country. I think they lived one of the most miserable life it ever was, because both of them got down to where they looked haggard and looked older than they were. And my wife, I know, asked Bonnie one time after she'd been talking about the gun battles and troubles they had, and said, "Were you ever scared?" She said, "Scared to death." And asked why she didn't quit, said, "Well, done gone too far, we can't." You know, robbing a bank, a small bank anyway like that, there isn't too much danger in robbing a bank, you know, as far as it didn't seem to me to take too much guts to do that. But the danger is getting away and staying away if they recognize you. See, that's once you got the heat on you and they know who you are, well, that's a lifetime business then to keep away. So there's where all the danger is.
From the roaring 20s through the Great Depression of the 30s, notorious criminals dominated the news. Al Capone, Pretty Boy Floyd, Machine Gun Kelly, John Dillinger, Bonnie and Clyde. This is the story of Floyd Hamilton, a bank robber whose real life sounds like Pulp Fiction. He and his brother Raymond were friends of the infamous Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. Young Raymond joined their crime spree, which ultimately sent him to the electric chair. Floyd became a wanted fugitive. Here is Floyd Hamilton's life story in his own words. Tales of bank heists, shootouts, and jailbreaks, doing hard time behind bars in Leavenworth and Alcatraz, and life on the run as public enemy number one.
If I had to serve all my time, outside and in, just like it did all from the time I started getting in trouble, for day and act for act, and I couldn't change it, you know, it just forced on you, you know it's going to come or you're going to have to do it. I think I'd commit suicide. I think it'd be a better, easier way out. I don't care who he is. If he's committing crime, well, he hadn't committed a crime and he's accused of it, and he knows that everyone's looking for him, and there's a possibility to ambush him just any time. Well, he has a miserable life, because you never know when you're driving along the highway or you're living in a house. You never know when they're going to knock on the door or surround your house and either capture you or shoot you out, kill you.
The incredible tale of how Floyd Hamilton turned into America's most wanted man began in the town of Henrietta on the plains of Oklahoma.
Born in Oklahoma June 13th, 1908, and I lived in Oklahoma until I was 12 years old. Well, when I was 10, my daddy run off and left us in Oklahoma and sold everything he had, sawmill and thrash machine and farm equipment, and all left my mother $4 and 6 children to support. We lived on a farm, worked for a potato farmer named R.T. Payne out of Muskogee, Oklahoma for about 2 years. I finally heard from my father, and he was here in Dallas working for White Metal Bulwarks. And my mother and he corresponded a while, and then we moved to Dallas.
Unfortunately, it wasn't long before their father left home again, this time for good. 14-year-old Floyd was saddled with taking care of the family, particularly his younger brother, Raymond.
See, I was 5 years older, and when my dad left us, well, then the load fell on my shoulders to support the whole family. And I was more or less like a daddy to him. Took care of him, sent him to school, bought all his clothes and everything. Well, I looked on him as like I was responsible for him, and I guess that's the reason why I got in a lot of trouble. I got a job working at the Trinity Portland Cement Company, which is about 5 miles from where I live. And I had to walk over every morning and walk back at night. And I'd getting 6 cents a hundred for tying wires around the top of cloth cement bags. And you know, 6 cents a hundred, you had to tie a lot of them to make any money. During the wintertime, I'd work 13 hours a night, 7 nights a week. And the first winter I had shoes that I had bought the winter before. In the summertime I went barefooted. And this next winter, well, my shoes was too small for me. It cramped my feet, but I didn't have money to buy shoes. So I had to walk to work, and them old shoes killing my feet, and then I had to work at night, especially in that kill building where it was real hot. The floor was just steaming hot because it was burning rock. And you know, the thing get extra hot in there, and it just killed me in my feet. And usually you had to tie grass sacks around your feet to walk on the floor even. So, and that's the reason why now I buy shoes about size and a half too big for me. I can't stand a shoe that hits my toes.
Floyd worked at the Trinity Portland Cement Company for 4.5 years. Then finally, things began looking up. He found a better job driving a delivery truck for the A&P grocery stores. At the age of 19, he married his landlady's 14-year-old daughter, Mildred. Floyd's mother also remarried, but Raymond had difficulty adjusting to his new stepfather.
Of course, Raymond, he didn't get along with him very well, so he started roaming the streets and quit school, went selling newspapers or working little jobs, whatever he could find. And him on the street a whole lot, the police started picking him up. Truant officer picked him up and put him in court a time or two, and the judge threatened him. He'd go back to school, but he was way behind and wasn't able to keep up because he wouldn't be there every day. And so they got to picking him up and accusing him of all kinds of different crimes.
Raymond seemed to be headed for trouble, but no one could have predicted the tragic future that was in store back when the Hamilton boys first met Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker.
Bonnie moved here in about 1920, about the time I did, and Clyde moved in 1922, right here in this neighborhood. I knew Bonnie real well because I attended the same school and the same classes, and they were just ordinary kids. Bonnie was a kind of a type of girl that took parts in all sports and dances and what you'd call an all-around American girl now, I guess most people would. But Clyde was kind of, I guess you'd call him backwards in the way of, as far as playing games. I think my wife said that he used to stand up in the school building and watch other kids play, but still he was a friendly kid and he'd go out of his way to make friends. He wasn't bully or anything like that. He was nice to get along with. So you would never pick them out among all the school kids and say, well, there's two kids that's going to be the worst outlaws in the country.
In early 1930, Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker Thornton began a relationship, in spite of the fact that Bonnie was already married to another man who was serving time for burglary.
Clyde Barrow quit school and joined a few men was older than he was burglars, and he started burglaring. Well, he burglarized all over around this part of the country between here and Waco, but he got in Waco and got caught, and he was charged with 7 burglar counts, and he received 2 years for each one. And they run them concurrent, which mean he had to serve 2 years. But Bonnie smuggled him a gun or brought him a gun into jail, and he took this gun and forced his way out. And I think he was only out a day or maybe 2 days and got caught. Well, this kind of made the judge angry, and he called him back into court and changed his sentence and stacked him up, which made 14 years. And they sent him on to prison.
Clyde was taken to Huntsville Prison, and there he was assigned to Eastham Prison Farm.